Summer League tonight, the championship. Who's going to take home the illustrious Summer League championship, the Grizzlies or the Timberwolves? That starts at 10 p.m. on ESPN2. Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby. We are now joined by
Double R,
Ryan Russillo. Welcome back to the program.
Word.
Thank you so much for joining us, taking time out of your very busy schedule
is well represented.
That's right.
On this
Yes.
We're trying to
program.
help him out with his Cape Cod trip.
Good luck. Good
Well,
luck.
in a couple of weeks.
Good luck. Well, we start with some very important news that matters. While everyone was distracted by the 5-hour match between Jokic and Federer that was happening on the grass, the real action was in the stands, and it was all about Woody Harrelson. Let's check in on Woody Harrelson attending Wimbledon. Here he is, trying to get back to his seat with his wine glass. And look at that face. Like the security tells him no. Okay, security tells him no. He falls back, to his credit. But here's my question. Should he know that he can't go back to this seat? Or should security let him go back because he's Woody Harrelson?
I respect that he was treated like everybody else in that move. Look, I just went to a Yankees game yesterday, and in between at-bats, like that's when you make your move. And it's funny to see how many people screw it up. There'll be like 10 people waiting, and then some guy rolls in with chicken fingers and a beer, and he's like, hey, guys, you're not going to get back to my seat. And we're like, what do you think we're doing?
Yeah.
What do you think we're all doing? So
Yes.
I kind of respect that it felt like it was an equality move there.
I don't like it. Here's
Because
why.
you're sitting up there.
You're putting Woody Harrelson in a position to be disrespectful to security. You know, he's having his beverage, he's walking back to his seat, and he's like, oh, excuse me, just stop. And now, what all of a sudden, he's like, yo, get off me.
Wimbledon's uptight. It's just like
They are.
Right?
Look at the uniform on that guy.
It's like Oracle.
Yeah, he looked like he was at the captain of the Titanic. He had the beard and everything.
Man, he's seen white man can't jump. Let him walk,
Yeah,
man.
for real. That's Woody
dog.
Harrelson.
Let him live.
That's Woody Harrelson.
He even took off his hat and tried to pay homage, like, I got my hat off. And then when he stepped back, he almost fell. I know y'all saw that
There
part.
was a 5-hour match.
No, man.
Under how many beverages did Woody Harrelson have?
10.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's too many. That's
wine?
a lot.
Day wine?
It's a little.
They look like a
Riesling?
Chardonnay, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I guess if you space them out enough, 5 hours.
Correct.
Well,
Yeah, Woody Harrelson, he's been
Correct.
around.
thank you so much, Woody Harrelson, for that moment. All right, moving on.
One every 50 minutes?
We had a crazy offseason in the NBA. Seems like all the dominoes have fallen, but there's still one there just teetering a little bit. Chris Paul is officially on the Thunder, yet no one really believes that he's going to play for the Thunder for the entire season.
Don't buy that jersey.
Ryan, what's going to happen with Chris Paul?
I don't think he's going to be on that team long term. I still have a hard time figuring out which team is going to be trading for his $38 million contract right now before the season starts. Think, almost everybody's work is done. So other than some late injury that would be kind of out of nowhere, or maybe something that happens in the preseason or very early on, but this whole trade was about getting off of Westbrook's money and really Houston feeling like Westbrook was a better asset than Chris Paul was.
Sure.
Now, Paul, I believe, based on people that I've talked to, and I was always on this Chris Paul thing wanting out, even though Daryl Morey said absolutely not, then he ends up trading him, that it's either Miami, which would kind of make sense. You know, they've been boring. They bring in Butler. They have contracts they could move around without feeling like giving up too much, or a team like Milwaukee. Now, I think Paul would want to go to Milwaukee, but if you're Milwaukee, every decision that you make has to be about how will this impact our Giannis situation long term. And all the guys that they just signed, they're not going to be able to make that move, even if Milwaukee wanted to right now. And it's just a scary contract knowing that Paul struggles to stay healthy, and he's owed $124 million over the next 3 years.
Of course, if you CP3, you want to join a team that had the best record in the game last year with the MVP.
In the Eastern Conference.
But the reality of their financial situation is they're just too cash strapped to even consider adding a player like Chris Paul. When a guy like this becomes available, it always makes me want to acknowledge all of the players that singularly have big-time deals that you don't realize they have. So for you, Ryan Russillo, I got a couple of questions for you. He signed a contract for $106 million. His name is Otto Porter. Where does he play?
He's on the Bulls now.
How about that?
You tried to get me with that one earlier, too.
That's a
I was proud of
movable
myself.
contract. You ready for this? We just talked about another gentleman that was on a boat cruise with Blake Griffin named Chandler Parsons, who signed a $95 million deal. Where does he play?
Memphis still.
No,
I
he
didn't know this was going to be a
doesn't.
quiz show. I didn't know this was going to be a quiz show. What?
He's not with Memphis
Oh, they
anymore.
waived him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right,
So
all right.
that's my point. What about a Nicholas Batum, who signed a $120 million deal that still plays in Charlotte? My point is, there are deals when
was
you
wondering
look
if he was
deeper
gonna
into
try
the
to
box
get
score. You're going to always find deals that you say, he make that? So Chris Paul can and will get moved. Look at the Miami roster. They have a lot of contracts that are unfavorable also, that they're trying to unload.
Is he just going to end up on the Heat? Because there's no
Yes.
other team that really seems like they're in the market
The
for Chris
Heat
Paul.
thing at least makes sense where you go, okay, this guy, that guy, this guy. Okay, so even if Milwaukee wanted to do it, you do Bledsoe, you do Ersan, but you're still short. You just re-signed Brooks, so you can't do that. You just re-signed his brother, you can't. Like, I looked at their sheet, it's not all that obtainable. And you still have to worry. As much as I've defended Chris Paul his entire career, I think he's terrific. And you make a great point. Like, hey, at least he can still play when he's healthy versus these other dudes making all this money. But the team that's good has to think about it as if even if we like him, even if he's healthy, how does this change who we are? How does this change not just this year, but the flexibility that we won't have the 2 years after this season? And that's really scary for teams.
Mark my words, Chris Paul is an NBA starter, a good one in the Eastern Conference. In the East.
Oh, no doubt,
Sure.
no doubt.
Sure.
Look, I mean, when he's healthy,
Sure.
Last year was a really bad year for him. I don't know if that's who he is all of a sudden,
Playing with
but
you.
it's just, what do you think, that hurts or helps?
Hurts.
That hurts. It hurt his usage, had him playing off the ball. Just James Harden didn't give him a chance to shine when he wasn't initiating the offense.
Misses a good chunk in the middle. Maybe that's why the shooting numbers went down. But again, the shooting numbers were the worst of his career. And the free throw attempts go down, which usually is a sign of getting a little bit old. I still want to believe when healthy, he can help a team. But when we're talking about $44 million 2 years from now, you got to make sure that like at 36, I don't know if the better competitive teams with younger stars are trying to build around are going to make that kind of
But
move.
again, in the East, so if you're the Sixers, you add Richardson, so that may or may not take the ball out of Simmons' hands as much. Of course, you have Kyrie and Kemba. You have Kyle Lowry, Brogdon playing alongside Oladipo and Trae Young. Those handful of people have distinguished themselves in the East as point guards. Everybody else, Chris Paul falls right into that category of somebody that can be competitive on a nightly basis.
Well, this name isn't so big, but the story I think is bigger than it's getting credit for. And Marcus Morris, he had an eventful offseason.
he did.
So allegedly he was offered a big contract from the Clippers, which he turned down.
$40
and
million.
then he agreed to a $20 million with the Spurs.
2 years.
Reneged it and then signed with the Knicks, and then he has separated from his agent, Rich Paul at Clutch Sports.
1 year, $15 million with the Knicks.
Take us behind the curtain, Jalen Rose. How does all of this happen within the span of a week?
Well, simple math. We were just on the phone. You was talking to me, somebody want to give me 40. Now you're on the phone telling me somebody want to give me 15. Somebody owe me $25 million. That's how this works. And I lost out on my bread, so me and you can't work together anymore. That's it. That's how this works.
This doesn't make any sense. Something is missing from this story. Something is
Yes.
off. Something is wrong because, guys can turn down early money thinking if there's going to be more money. But if we're talking 2 for 40, there's no scenario the player or the agent ever should have thought, oh, no, we're going to get to that like Terry Rozier money when you're Marcus Morris and you've been around this long. 2 for 40 is too much for him.
With a good team, too.
As an agent, you go, hey, we got to do this now because we're not, like the odds of us surpassing this. So I don't know if it was a gamble that went wrong. I don't know if there's a piece of information that's missing from this whole thing. But how does Morris end up 25 million light? And you're right, 4% ain't going to make that up.
No.
And Jalen, what about this aspect of it, though? You agree with the Spurs handshake deal, which is different than pen to paper. And then you just kind of go back on it. Do you think that's something that we will see more of in the future in free agency?
That is going to be something that always exists. It's not a deal until you sign it. And it's no different from when high school players commit to a college. The same thing for NBA players when they commit to a team. Till you physically sign the deal, there can be movement. And they're going to be conspiracy theorists. And I know our brother Bill Simmons is going to love this one. he's probably carrying the flag for this. Oh, Rich Paul didn't want him to play for the Clippers to make it easier for LeBron.
That went through my mind. It went through my mind. It went like I said, and entertain that line of thinking. I went through my mind.
I got to bring Rich Paul on to talk to dispel that. $25 million ain't enough for me to even engage in that type of scenario for either side.
That's the part I don't understand. Whether it's, it's not just other agents have made mistakes. Other agents have been like, nah, I thought we were going to get a little bit more here. Rich, when you're the cover of Sports Illustrated, you're going to have to deal with different stuff. And so, I don't know what's fair or not fair on that one.
Me neither. When we return, Ryan Russillo will stay with us, and Method Man will join us, not in person, but in graphical
studio?
form.
Oh.
And we'll keep it moving.